France has proposed a new airport deal to Burkina Faso that would take 30 years to complete. But will Burkina Faso accept it? To start, the timeline for this airport's construction seems suspicious. This lengthy period appears to give France more time to exploit Burkina Faso. This doesn't sound like a fair deal. It sounds like the shackles of imperialism. And Traore understands this all too well, which is why he decided to reject the €220 million project.
For years, France, our colonizers, has been in Burkina Faso believing that it is fighting to defend our interests, but it is the opposite. France is in Burkina Faso to plunder our wealth and also creating terrorism by supplying arms to the terrorists.
But was this the right decision? Let's find out. Burkina Faso has cancelled a multi-million euro contract with a French company. This isn't just a story about an airport, it's a rallying cry for a new Africa, one that refuses to be chained by the remnants of colonial rule. Recently, President Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso made headlines by terminating a €220 million contract with Meridian, a French firm responsible for constructing the new Ouagadougou International Airport. But this decision goes beyond infrastructure. It is a powerful rejection of neo-colonialism and a bold declaration of independence from foreign influence. As African nations like Burkina Faso rise to reclaim their sovereignty, the West is left scrambling to understand the implications of this seismic shift. To fully grasp the magnitude of this event, we must first explore why Burkina Faso made this daring move and what it means for its future. Why would Burkina Faso, a nation in dire need of economic development, risk its relationship with France by canceling a major infrastructure contract with Meridian? Burkina Faso's decision to cancel the contract with Meridian wasn't made on a whim. It was a calculated move by President Traore to reclaim control over the country's economic assets and assert its sovereignty in a world that still sees Africa as a resource to be exploited, rather than a partner to be respected. The contract, initially signed under the administration of Roch-Marc Christian Kabore, would have granted Meridian a 30-year concession to design, build, finance, operate, and maintain the new Ouagadougou International Airport. On the surface, this deal promised modern infrastructure and economic growth, but a closer inspection reveals it was yet another exploitative arrangement designed to benefit France at the expense of Burkina Faso. The financial provisions within the contract were heavily skewed in favor of West, allowing the French company to reap the lion's share of the profits while Burkina Faso bore the brunt of the risks. The 30-year concession period was not only long but excessively restrictive, effectively locking Burkina Faso into an exploitative arrangement for decades. This would have made it nearly impossible for the country to renegotiate terms or adapt to changing economic circumstances, thereby undermining its ability to chart its course towards sustainable development. Additionally, the contract contained several legal discrepancies that contravened both domestic and international standards, raising serious questions about its legitimacy and fairness. These issues, combined with the broader context of reducing French influence in West Africa, made the contract untenable for President Traore. His decision to cancel it was not just an act of defiance, but a strategic move to reassert Burkina Faso's sovereignty. President Traore, a leader of a new generation of African politicians, recognized that continuing with the Meridian deal would perpetuate a cycle of dependency and exploitation. By terminating the contract, he sent a clear message to both France and the world. Burkina Faso would no longer be a pawn in the West's geopolitical games. Instead, it would seek to forge new partnerships that respect its sovereignty and prioritize the needs of its people. The cancellation of this contract is a bold step towards reclaiming Burkina Faso's sovereignty and rejecting neo-colonial exploitation. It is a powerful statement that challenges the status quo and sets a precedent for other African nations looking to break free from the shackles of colonial history. With the contract canceled, the focus now shifts to the potential consequences for Burkina Faso's economic future. How will this decision impact Burkina Faso's economy, both in the short term and over the long haul? Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black culture, history, civilization, and identity. Let's continue now. The economic implications of Burkina Faso's decision to cancel the Meridian contract are complex and multifaceted. On one hand, this move could delay the construction of the much-needed Ouagadougou International Airport, a critical infrastructure project that promised to boost trade, tourism, and investment. The current airport, built in the 1960s, is outdated and struggling to cope with increasing passenger traffic, which has grown by an average of 7% annually over the past decade. A modern airport is essential for enhancing Burkina Faso's connectivity to global markets and attracting foreign investment. However, Traore's decision is far from reckless. It is a calculated strategy to secure better deals and partners for Burkina Faso. By canceling the contract, Burkina Faso has freed itself from an arrangement that would have siphoned off substantial revenues to a foreign entity. This opens up the opportunity to negotiate new partnerships under terms that are more favorable to Burkina Faso. Traore has wasted no time in securing new funding for the airport project from a consortium that includes the Islamic Development Bank and the Arab Bank for Economic Development in Africa. These new partners offer more favorable terms, ensuring that Burkina Faso retains greater control over its key infrastructure. This swift action has mitigated the risk of delays and demonstrates Traore's commitment to keeping the project on track while safeguarding national interests. Moreover, this decision could have positive long-term economic impacts by setting a precedent for how Burkina Faso, and potentially other African nations, engage in international business. By prioritizing national sovereignty and fair partnerships, Burkina Faso is positioning itself as a nation that demands respect and equitable treatment from its international partners. This stance is likely to attract new investors who value stability and fairness over quick, exploitative gains. Additionally, the cancellation of the contract could pave the way for Burkina Faso to diversify its economy and reduce its dependence on foreign aid and investment. By taking control of its economic destiny, Burkina Faso can focus on developing its natural resources, building local industries, and creating jobs for its people. This could lead to a more sustainable and inclusive economic model that benefits all Burkinabés, not just a privileged few. As Burkina Faso moves forward with this new approach to international partnerships, the broader diplomatic implications of this decision come into focus. How will this move affect its relations with France and other former colonial powers? The diplomatic implications of Burkina Faso's decision to cancel the contract are profound. This move has not only strained its relationship with France, but has also sent shockwaves throughout the West. For decades, France has maintained a stronghold in its former African colonies through a combination of economic deals, military presence, and political influence. However, Burkina Faso's bold stance against the Meridian contract signals a significant departure from this status quo. France, understandably, is not pleased. The cancellation of such a significant contract undermines France's influence in West Africa and threatens its long-standing strategy of maintaining control over key African economies. This decision is seen as a direct challenge to France's neo-colonial ambitions and could trigger a reassessment of its approach to its former colonies. But Burkina Faso's defiance could have broader implications for its diplomatic relations beyond France. By rejecting the deal, Burkina Faso is aligning itself with a growing anti-colonial sentiment across Africa. This sentiment is particularly strong in the Sahel region, where public opinion has increasingly turned against French involvement. Recent polls indicate that approval for French presence in the Sahel has plummeted to just 20%, reflecting widespread discontent with France's continued influence in the region. Burkina Faso's decision is likely to embolden other African nations to follow suit, potentially leading to a wave of similar actions across the continent. This could result in a significant realignment of diplomatic relationships, with African nations seeking new alliances that prioritize mutual respect and sovereignty over historical ties to colonial powers. On the flip side, Burkina Faso's decision could foster new diplomatic partnerships with countries outside the traditional Western Bloc. Nations like Russia, China, and Turkey, which have been increasingly active in Africa, may see this as an opportunity to strengthen their ties with a nation that is committed to asserting its independence. These new partnerships could bring significant economic and political benefits, allowing Burkina Faso to diversify its international relationships and reduce its reliance on any single foreign power. Furthermore, this move could shift the geopolitical dynamics in the region, creating a new balance of power that favors African nations. By breaking away from France, Burkina Faso is not only asserting its sovereignty, but also challenging the broader system of neo-colonial control that has defined Africa's relations with the West for decades. This could pave the way for a new era of African diplomacy, one that is characterized by equality, mutual respect, and a commitment to genuine partnership. As Burkina Faso navigates these diplomatic waters, it raises a critical question for the rest of Africa. Could this bold move signal the beginning of a broader anti-colonial movement across the continent? Burkina Faso's decision to cancel the contract is more than just a local political action. It is a catalyst for change across Africa. This move aligns with a broader trend of rejecting neo-colonialism and striving for true economic and political independence that is gaining momentum across the continent. From Mali to Niger, African nations are increasingly pushing back against the exploitative relationships that have defined their interactions with Western powers for decades. In recent years, we have witnessed a growing number of African nations taking steps to reclaim control over their resources and assert their sovereignty. Niger's decision to terminate a uranium mining contract with the French company Orano is another example of this shift. These actions are part of a larger anti-neo-colonial movement, driven by a new generation of African leaders who are no longer willing to accept the status quo. This movement is not just about rejecting exploitative contracts, it is about redefining what it means to be an African nation in the 21st century. It is about forging a new path that is free from the shadows of colonialism and is built on the principles of self-determination, fairness, and mutual respect. Burkina Faso's stance is likely to inspire other countries to reevaluate their relationships with former colonial powers and to seek out new partnerships that are more aligned with their national interests. The potential ripple effects of Burkina Faso's decision are immense. If other nations follow suit, we could see a wave of contract renegotiations or cancellations that reshape Africa's economic landscape. This could lead to a significant reduction in the influence of former colonial powers and a shift towards new alliances with countries that respect African sovereignty and are willing to engage in mutually beneficial partnerships. Furthermore, this movement could have a profound impact on global geopolitics. As more African nations assert their independence and seek new partnerships, the balance of power could shift away from the traditional Western-dominated order towards a more multipolar world. This could create new opportunities for collaboration and cooperation among nations that share a commitment to fairness, equity, and respect for sovereignty. In addition to reshaping diplomatic and economic relationships, this movement could also have cultural and ideological implications. By rejecting neo-colonialism and asserting their sovereignty, African nations are challenging the narrative that they are dependent on the West for their development. This is a powerful statement of agency and a call to other nations to take pride in their heritage, reject the legacies of colonialism, and chart their course toward a brighter future. As the anti-colonial sentiment continues to grow across Africa, what can we learn from Burkina Faso's bold move about the future of African politics and economics? Burkina Faso's bold decision to cancel the Meridian contract offers several important lessons for Africa and the world. First and foremost, it demonstrates the power of courageous visionary leadership in the fight against neo-colonialism. President Traore's willingness to challenge a powerful nation like France and prioritize the sovereignty and interests of his people sets a powerful example for other African leaders. It shows that it is possible to stand up to former colonial powers and demand fair treatment and respect. This decision also highlights the importance of economic independence as a cornerstone of true sovereignty. By rejecting an exploitative contract, Burkina Faso is asserting its right to control its resources and infrastructure and to engage in partnerships that are beneficial to its people. This move sends a clear message to other African nations. It is time to break free from the chains of colonial exploitation and pursue a path of self-reliance and sustainable development. Moreover, Burkina Faso's stance underscores the need for African nations to diversify their international relationships and to seek new partnerships that are built on mutual respect and equity. By turning away from France and looking towards new partners like the Islamic Development Bank and the Arab Bank for Economic Development in Africa, Burkina Faso is showing that there are alternatives to the traditional Western-dominated order. This is an important lesson for other African nations that may be seeking to reduce their reliance on former colonial powers and explore new avenues for cooperation and development. Furthermore, Burkina Faso's decision is a reminder that the fight against neo-colonialism is not just a political struggle, it is also a cultural and ideological one. By standing up to France, Burkina Faso is challenging the narrative that African nations are incapable of managing their affairs and need Western guidance and control. This move is a powerful assertion of African agency and a call to other nations to take pride in their heritage, to reject the legacies of colonialism, and to chart their course towards a brighter future. Finally, this decision highlights the importance of solidarity and unity among African nations in the fight against neo-colonialism. By standing together and supporting each other in their struggles for independence and self-determination, African nations can build a stronger, more resilient continent that is capable of withstanding external pressures and achieving its full potential. So, Burkina Faso's cancellation of the Meridian Contract is a significant step towards reclaiming African sovereignty and rejecting neo-colonial exploitation. It challenges the status quo, sets a precedent for other African nations, and signals a new era in African politics and economics. This decision is more than just a political action. It is a clarion call for Africa to rise and reclaim its place in the world, not as a subordinate, but as a sovereign, equal player on the global stage. As Burkina Faso and other nations continue to break free from the chains of their colonial past, a new dawn is breaking over Africa, one of hope, independence, and self-determination. In the coming years, the implications of Burkina Faso's decision will likely become even clearer. The world will see whether this bold move becomes a defining moment in African history or just another chapter in the ongoing struggle against neo-colonialism. But one thing is certain: Burkina Faso has taken a stand, and in doing so, it has sparked a fire that could very well change the course of history. The fight for sovereignty is far from over, but with each new step towards independence, Africa grows stronger, more united, and more determined to forge its destiny. As we look to the future, it is clear that the battle for African sovereignty is just beginning. But with leaders like President Traore at the helm, and with a growing wave of support from across the continent, there is no doubt that Africa is on the rise. The world must take notice and adapt to this new reality, one where African nations are no longer passive recipients of foreign aid and investment, but active participants in the global economy, demanding respect and equality. As the struggle continues, it is important to remain vigilant and to support those who are fighting for a brighter future for Africa. The road ahead may be long and challenging, but with determination, courage, and unity, there is no doubt that Africa will emerge stronger, more resilient, and more prosperous than ever before. The world is watching, and Africa is ready to lead. Do you think not accepting this deal was a good decision? Should African nations fall for the Western trap? Let us know in the comment section. After being thrown out of the continent, why West doesn't stop offering involvement? Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If so, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about: the Black culture, civilization, history, and evidence about how glorious Blacks have been. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.